I'm going to borrow the clicker from you. We got my pitch up here. Good morning. Has anybody talked to you recently about politics or religion? Does anybody change your mind? No, I didn't think so. You know why? There's a concept called dominant worldview, sometimes called by strategists dominant logic, and it means that you believe something so strongly that you're blind to everything else. You know, whether it's Dylan is the greatest songwriter ever, or 80s hair band music sucks, or whatever it is. But it's much more than that. It means that you use most of your reason not to look for different opportunities, but actually to confirm all the same bullshit you believe. Now, there's a term for this that's even bigger. It's called the Dunning-Kruger Effect. And put in layman's terms, it means you ever notice the stupidest person you ever knew calls other people stupid on your social media. And what you do at the beginning is you try and inform them, you try and give them information, it'll change their mind. Does it change their mind? Never. Then you try and do what? You try and turn the noise down, and then eventually you do what? You unfriend them. The Spanish Inquisition couldn't have thought of this. On a dark night, on a dark road, the pathetic loser goes away. Now, we can see dominant logic in these kinds of exaggerated situations, but actually dominant logic goes on in our life all the time. I love angry Schopenhauer's famous quote, "Every man takes the limits of his own field of vision for the limits of the world," right? And the point I'm going to make today is that dominant logic is way more than what most of us think it is, and it's probably holding us back. So first, I have to admit, I have a PhD in a technology area. In fact, it's in my PhD title. I'm a recovering technologist. So when I talk to people about innovation, they want to talk to me about gear. You remember shop class guys when you were in high school? They wanted to talk about Hemis and how these are the new guys. They want to talk about AI and AR, and they want to talk about how many MIPS and BIPs and whatever crap they want to talk about. And they say, this is innovation. This is going to save us. We got better MIPS and BIPs than they do. Well, in fact, I think that's going to really hold you back. And I want to make the dominant argument very real to you in some very specific ways. What if Adam Smith was wrong? What if the wealth of nations isn't really created by competition? And I want to say I'm in good company. Since 1969, there have been 9 Nobel laureates who have said Adam Smith is wrong, and I'm going to prove that these 9 are probably right. Well, let's look at some companies, and let's look at how they were destroyed. Anybody remember Sears? Do you remember when Sears was a company? Do you remember that as recent as 10 years ago, Sears was a Fortune 50 company? Do you remember this? Interestingly enough, who killed Sears? And don't say Amazon. Amazon has only been cash positive for how many years? 5. Interestingly enough, Sears abandoned their online efforts, which they were industry leaders on, in 1993, the same year Amazon was formed. Sears didn't think there was a real future, but they dabbled in technology. Incidentally, all you in the crowd here, you're being dabbled with, right? Nobody doubled down, nobody bet the farm on this thing. You know who killed Sears? Sears killed Sears. How did they get killed? Dominant logic. They believed that the whole world was going to be about shopping malls. They thought that war would be performed in the same way it always had been. And our friends at Amazon took a very different look. 55% of all retail on the web in the United States belongs to Amazon, as well as 55% of all growth. When the federal government comes around and goes, we're going to break these guys up, think about AWS. Good luck with that, right? McDonald's. I've been kicked out of 2 companies in my life. One is McDonald's. I came in and said, you're making people fat and your coffee sucks. They didn't like that. What's their strategy now? We're going to serve breakfast all day. You know what the worst growth strategy of all time is? To have an increasing share of a decreasing market. The best damn saddle maker in the world, Worthington Saddles, made 2 million saddles in 1900. They made 10,000 saddles last year. Who killed McDonald's? McDonald's said that coffee was a negative 1.2 growth industry. Starbucks said it wasn't. It became theater. Which would you rather invest in today, Starbucks or McDonald's? Now, the other company I was thrown out of was General Motors. I talked to a guy yesterday at AFRL in Dayton, Ohio, who was the chief architect of the EV1. Does anybody remember who made the first electric car? 1992, General Motors made it. It was called the EV1. They made 3,000 of them. It wasn't that they failed, it's that they succeeded. And what did General Motors do with the rest of the cars? They buried them in the desert of California. Oh my God. They got there first. The patents elapsed. General Motors was killed by who? Was it Tesla? How many cars did Tesla sell this year? 150,000 so far. What's their capitalization? How much money are they making? They adjusted upward to negative 490 million from 600 million in losses. Everybody following us? They're not making enough cars to make anybody have a dent in anything. Who killed General Motors? General Motors killed General Motors, but there's always a good end to a story, isn't there? Anybody been following what Mary Barra's doing? I think the empire might strike back. Luke, I'm your father. Take a look. And there is a good story. One of the good stories of redemption is our friends at Microsoft. Microsoft was almost dead. They completely missed the cloud because to people my age, it looked like what? Centralized computing. Anybody old enough to remember when it had to go to the central computer? Yeah, us old timers do. Yeah, incidentally, Junior, we invented your world. Thank you very much.